Hey everybody, I've got a DSP video for you. I am going to show you 4 cards. The first card is very old and I just want to share because it is so special. We have decided we're going to sell our 5th wheel and get a smaller camping unit, likely a camper to go on the back of the truck. And we pulled everything out of it, and Hub was going through it and put a couple of cards that had been hanging on the wall for who knows how long on my desk. So I love what Libby did here. This is a card from Libby, and it's a Valentine card. It uses the snail mail set from last year, I think. I can't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago, but if you look very carefully, she used the Blackberry Bliss Halloween paper that she had left over from the previous Halloween. She likes to do Halloween cards. I don't do Halloween cards. I don't even like spiders. And yet here you can see very clearly little spiders. So I guess that's the theme of the day that I want to share. I have another story, another Libby story, and I just wanted to share this because it goes along with another card that I have to share. So the next cards are all going to be using the new DSP. The first one actually uses a DSP that I already had. It is Countryside Inn. I have finished the cards, but I wanted to share with you a very old technique to do on envelopes, which ironically I have never done. I cannot think of a single time while traveling in the RV or being in this house that I have done this technique. But when I go to class in the community, we have card classes every other week, and I have attended every single card class while I've been here. And many times we have used this technique. So I thought today I would revisit this for you guys as a reminder of a very fun technique that you can do, and you can mail the cards this way. So the first card is this Countryside Inn, and I used my Fiskars rotating knife. I will bring it out. I am not a good fussy cutter, and look how perfect that bunny came out. The first thing Libby said was, "Oh my gosh, you fussy cut that. That looks very nice." And I attribute how clean that came out to this Fiskars knife. I really feel, first off, I'm a left-handed person, so scissors are not really set up for me. I don't buy left-handed scissors. So that particular knife allowed me to cut out this bunny, and then behind the bunny is another bunny. So I did actually place him, and I cut the circle out based on his location. The hello and the sprigs are from Layering Leaves, which is current, and it has a stamp set and dies. And there is the bows, which is still sitting out here, the bows punch, and I love the punch. I punched out a layer of vellum, then I did Misty Moonlight, the leaves with the little lines, and then I used the small sprig and stamped the little lined sprigs with Night of Navy to just give it a little bit more darkness, a little more contrast. Every layer has been sponged with Night of Navy. I do have these brushed white, they are called adhesive backed studs, and I'm going to add them here to finish this off. Yes, I cheated and used my absolute favorite Misty Moonlight, twisted its double layer Misty Moonlight in white so I can take it all apart. I can have white tinsel or silver tinsel, white, and Misty Moonlight. Here's what it looks like all together. It was recently on the clearance rack, I believe, but I don't see it there any longer. So there you have it. I have finished off the card itself. The inside, I actually am so used to doing vertical cards that I stamped this for a vertical card, but I'm going to use it. I think it's okay. And then let's go to the envelope. So the envelopes, I was going to use this technique of adding the DSP to the flap. And my leftover DSP with the bunny is, of course, facing the wrong direction. because I used the lines horizontally on the back, which made me cut that direction. See, on the back, I wanted the horizontal. So I had to pick a different DSP, and I wanted to use a scrap. That was the whole purpose for the exercise of sharing with you guys that you can use scraps. So you'll notice that this particular piece doesn't go all the way to the edge, and I am going to show you that it actually is just fine not going to the edge by gluing it quickly, and then I will trim it up. And these have successfully gone through the mail. I know that a lot of people don't mail their cards to people, but I do. And this does mail successfully without issue. So I am lining it up right on the edge of the flap, but it does curve the way the shape of these Stampin' Up envelopes have a curve to them. And I will be using my snips that I see are buried underneath everything else. So let's see if I can find them. Here. Oh. I guess I'm going to use these big scissors because I am not seeing my snips in their spot they're supposed to be. But all you have to do is cut along the lines. And then we have an overlap. So hopefully this will remind you of a very old technique. Coming back, it can always be used at any time. And see, because I'm left-handed, it doesn't, you can see the struggles that I have. It is the curse of my left-handedness. All right, so now I have the flap, and you'll notice this, oh, and I did it on the wrong side. So I guess we get a bunch of flowers, which actually is the layer. I wanted to do the other side, which actually had no bunny, but it had some floral and some trees. But this will work. And then you'll notice when I open the flap that some of the flap is not covered, and that I think works totally fine. So that makes this one 100% done, minus me stamping my handmade by. And then the next card, because we have 3 of them. The second one uses the planets. It's called Stargazing DSP. And this was the one, so this is the other story, that Libby and I were deciding what to do with this. And sometimes we talk about going off book. The pin that we used for all 3 of these, so this is the second one, was a layout pin. And then this one is the similar layout, and I decided to go with the planets and use the Explore, Dream, Discover. I don't have the stamp set of that close by to tell you what the name is of it, but it will be in the supplies list. And I really love how this turned out. I'm not sure who I will give this to. It's a little bit of a unique card. And I haven't done anything on the inside of this one because I only own the paper, not the stamp set. And the paper that I have pulled for this has 2 sides, and it again I want to do for the flap of the envelope, and it has either the Milky Way, which is the leftover piece of this Milky Way, or I could do orange, which I did not do any orange planets, so I'm going to be more careful and make sure that I glue the orange side so that I have the Milky Way showing on the flap. It also is a piece that is too small and I am okay with that. This just allows me to use this piece up, get the envelope decorated without having any of the stamps for this. I think glue is the safest way to see that you have this glued down enough for transport in the mail. So I'm going right to the edge of the flap there, making sure I'm lined up evenly on both sides. Then I'm going to take my trusty big old scissors, because my snips are still buried in my pile of stuff. I might do this a little differently this time. I might make sharp edges, and then I'll go back and round just that little bit. The reason why I say glue is that when you go through the mail, you have all sorts of different environments, hot, cold, and everything in between. And here in Florida, the very first thing I learned was that everybody glues in Florida because the double-sided adhesive tapes do not work well enough in the humidity. So if you wonder why I'm now gluing when I've never been gluing before, it is because of the humidity here. So there you have it. Again, the flap, it wasn't as wide as it needed to be to do the whole flap.
I'm just popping in here to specify the dies. I have the Reach for the Stars dies, which gives you a clean circle. You could also opt for using the Stylish Shapes dies if you don't mind having the stitching around the edge. I mentioned that I love this planet, the green and blue planet. I also then follow up with that I did not use any trim on this card, wanting to keep it as masculine as possible, but I did use the glossy enamel dots to finish out the card. I will have all of the supplies I've talked about on the supplies list over on my blog.
The final card that we did has a little different remnant piece. I have pulled, this is from the Earthen Textures, and I do not have the name of the DSP, but Earthen Textures has the pots with the dies, and I used the dies and the stamps are done in crumb cake. I then cut a piece of linen thread, and I have not pulled, I am going to pull this fringy, grassy stamp. I will stamp on the inside here, which has nothing, and I will probably stamp it also on the back. But I have this piece left over from this particular very back layer DSP, and it's just a strip. I worry, since I go through the mail, the cancellation stamp, there's actually little lines that get stamped or get going through the machine, get stamped down here. So I am going to take this strip and also put it along the flap, because I know the flap is a safe place to add DSP to, so I won't get in trouble, because 90 to 95% of my cards all get sent through the mail. So I am going to pick a spot along the flap for this to get glued to. There it is. I'm going to snip off using the back as my guide. I barely made it on this side. And then the only other thing I have, I will do my inside and envelope stamping on my own time, but I did pull, if you guys could only see my disaster. Okay, rustic metallic adhesive backed dots. I will use these. Again, somewhat gender neutral, so I want to keep my dots to as much gender neutralness as I possibly can have. And I want to put these on the white so that they show up the best. I'm going to slip that one right there. So that completes the card. And that completes all 3 cards for the day. And there's the cute envelope that goes with it. And then here's card number 2. Oh, so I didn't finish the story about this DSP. So as we were going through and we were using the layout for all 3 cards, which again I will have the dimensions and everything. The Pinterest pin that was the inspiration will be up on my blog, so be sure to head over to the blog to get that. That link will take you to the pin. Click on the pin and that'll give you the dimensions so that we can get this person who made her wonderful cards. She made a whole bunch of cards also. And we'll get some traffic to her site. I like to do that. So if you wonder why I do that, it's because I am helping get traffic to other demonstrators and creators' sites. So over here on the Planet DSP, Libby decided to go with Christmas, and she took snowflake dies and picked planets and cut snowflakes out of them and came up with a wonderful bright colored Christmas card, which was funny because we were discussing how I have not done my Winter is Coming Wednesday at all this year, and I am going to be sorely behind when it comes time to do Christmas cards because I need my Christmas cards and I sell them at our artisan market here at the Great Outdoors in, I think it's the beginning of November. I've already signed up for it, so I'm committed, which means I definitely need to make enough cards for me and for this market. And so she was proving to me that this could be used for Christmas. She also then later went and did a bunch of cards, so has a whole bunch of Christmas as well as a bunch of Halloween cards. And this paper, if you need a really good bright tone paper for your Halloween cards, this Planet paper is it. You saw already on the back side of this blue Milky Way was this wonderful orange. So you get orange, you get black, you get purple, all of the great Halloween color tones. So that's my plug for Halloween. I don't do Halloween cards, but I was very impressed with this paper for Halloween and for Christmas, doing some off the beaten path, not quite normal Christmas cards that came out really well. So that's all I've got. Let me know your thoughts on these 3 wonderful fun cards. Be sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.